Step 1 is to get your subfloor just as clean as you possibly can. Sweep it, vacuum it, scrub it with a sponge. You want to be bonding everything that happens next to the floor and not to the dirt and the dust that's sitting on top of the floor. Step 2 is to cut and fit the Ditra heat mat and then glue it down with a modified thin set. This is done basically with the same best practice as installing the tile itself. You work the thin set into the substrate and then you rake it out evenly using a 1/4 by 1/4 inch notch trowel that's made specifically for the Ditra heat mat installation. Now I've got to point out, because it's important, that every time thin set is put down to adhere any of these membranes, it's got to be done with the correct size notch trowel and with the grooves all running in the same direction. So once the heat mat is down, set it firmly in place and put some weight on it to press it into complete contact with the thin set underneath. Next comes the heat wire itself, and it sort of snaps in between these buttons on the Ditra heat mat. When you do this, pay attention, because Schluter gives you 2 options for the correct wire spacing, and you want to keep the wire at least 2 inches away from the walls and cabinets. Visualize where the traffic is going to be in the room, and generally keep the heat under the feet, but you've got to pay attention to all of the setback requirements. Whatever you do, do not cut or nick this wire. It's not made to be shortened or spliced in any way, and it's important that the whole wire layout is tested for electrical continuity before it's covered up. What all of this means is that it might take a couple of tries to figure out the best possible layout for your heated floor. Now ideally, the tile floor is going to finish out flush or slightly above the toilet flange. This will leave the right amount of space for the wax ring that makes the connection between the toilet and the flange waterproof. And if there's one connection you want waterproof, it's this one. Also, Phil's attention to keeping the trowel line straight is not just his OCD tendencies on display. The continuous straight lines make it possible for all of the air to escape when the membranes or the tile is pressed down into the thin set. Even these small details are important. Now, in addition to heating the floor, this mat creates something called an uncoupling membrane between the tile and the subfloor. This is important because wood and wood products can and do expand and contract dramatically depending on weather, humidity, the temperature of the home. Any number of things can affect this, and we want to help the tile stay unaffected no matter what happens below it. Even a concrete substrate can move. It expands and contracts differently than the tile itself, and so when direct bonding to these surfaces, we've got to try to account for that if we can. This Ditra heat mat can reduce this problem by allowing the substrate to move horizontally without projecting and forcing the tile to crack. Think of a sand strata under pavers. Now, I've mentioned this before, but comfort is not the only reason to heat a bathroom floor. A shower floor that is warm dries out much quicker, and so reduces the opportunity for mold and mildew to grow in the grout lines. Now, I don't know whether this is a problem where you live, but it's a big deal here in the Pacific Northwest. I hope you're enjoying our house building series. And if you're just joining us, we've got videos right here that cover and explain a lot of what goes on in building a wood frame house in the western United States. I hope you check it out, and maybe even tell your friends about it. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.